It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff, to say the least. I mean, I was supposed to go back to DC. How am I going to survive? This fucker's going to kill me for sure. In fact, I do think like it's like I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff because it's going to get me killed.
Right. If he really, this is why he won't be able to root out corruption, because he's ready to do it. He's ready to do it, but they'll kill him.
David Pakman is losing his mind over Elon Musk's appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan and Elon Musk really did go after people like David Pakman and the woke left. And of course, people like David Pakman do not like whenever their lies are exposed. Let's get into this clip here where David Pakman loses his mind over Elon Musk and Joe Rogan exposing the woke left and exposing David Pakman for their lies and for their hypocrisy.
Musk suffered a total collapse on the Joe Rogan podcast. The topic of the Nazi salute came up. The topic of Social Security came up. The topic of Elon being assassinated came up. And this is about as bad as you could imagine it being. Let's start with Joe Rogan saying, how could it be that you buy Twitter for billions and then people call you a Nazi? And Elon explains he is definitely not a Nazi.
When you're going through all this USAID stuff,
Yeah.
like, here's what's weird. First of all, what is it like to buy a company for $44 billion and then people call you a Nazi on that same thing that you bought?
I did not see it coming.
Isn't that funny?
It's classic.
So funny. Rogan's just in stitches.
People will gobble anything down.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that he thought that was that funny. Yeah. I don't think it's that funny, but it is funny that he thought it was that funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, he's never gonna stop.
Wait, what?
What is it like? Like all this, like
his-
people used to. The left was in love with you,
Yeah.
and now the same idiots are calling you a Nazi. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
You know, one of the things they love talking about is people used to think one thing about you, and now they've changed what they think, and that's crazy. But sometimes the opinions of people change based on what the person does. Elon used to be this sort of doofusy, awkward, kind of antisocial tech guy who dramatically accelerated electric vehicles by his actions at Tesla, and so on and so forth. And so we saw him as a kind of benign guy who was doing some good things. Now, all of a sudden, he's wrapped up in political extremism. He's getting involved in all sorts of, he said something about how his son died because of the woke mind virus, all this crazy stuff. And so, yes, it is a different Elon Musk. So people's opinion of him have changed. That's not crazy.
I mean,
There's so many examples.
Yeah.
It's not crazy that your opinion would change, but it is crazy that you go from worshiping the guy. The left wing used to worship Elon Musk. They used to love Elon Musk. Same thing with Donald Trump. They used to love him. And then all of a sudden, his opinions change and you hate him. And you call him, not just hate him, you call him a Nazi. And the fact that he's saying that his son died because of the woke mind virus, I mean, you got to put yourself in his shoes. He lost his son. And that's like the saddest, most scary thing that I've ever heard stories of is whenever, the woke virus latches on to someone's kid or their teacher teaches them about something. And then, there's things going on between the student and the teacher that the parents don't know about where, they're getting called by a girl name when they're a boy, whatever. And then the parent finds out. You got to put yourself in Elon Musk's shoes where, he really did in his eyes lose his son. His son's gone. Like his son's gone. And it must be really hard to deal with if you put yourself in his shoes, because you just don't see it coming. Like it comes out of nowhere, or maybe you do see it coming, but it doesn't make it any better. It must be really hard. It's one of the most terrifying things about having a child. And that's why I will never send any of my kids to public school or a private school. They're getting homeschooled 100%. never will I take that chance and take that risk. You know, that's a top priority for me.
Yeah.
People saying my heart goes out to you.
Sure,
You did
sure.
it with a little enthusiasm that probably wouldn't be recommended
obviously-
with hindsight.
Yes, but I was obviously meant in the most positive spirit possible.
Yes,
Yeah,
obviously.
But
it's so strange where people want to think that you are openly publicly doing secret Nazi Sieg Heil hand motion.
It's openly, publicly, secretly. Openly, publicly, secretly.
And now I can never point at things diagonally. I can only point at things there and there, and then so you have to divide that.
Yeah.
Because that's where the spaceship is, over there. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When CNN, when I was in
It's
all
like
my trouble,
absurd.
every time CNN used a photo of me, it was one of the photos from the UFC weigh-ins where I go like this, welcome to the weigh-ins. So every photo is me. Every photo is me with.
It's absurd.
It's so crazy.
Well, it's deliberate propaganda.
Yes.
So that they know it was not. It was obviously not meant in a negative way. That I literally said my heart goes out to you, and it was very positive. The entire speech was.
All right, so it's all cool, but then more substantively, Elon drops this bomb about how Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, I mean, the government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so well, people pay into Social Security, and the money goes out of Social Security immediately. But the obligation for Social Security is
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Your entire retirement career.
Oh boy.
So you're paying with you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt?
Elon is so incoherently explaining this that I'm just going to take over. So he says Social Security is a Ponzi scheme because the money that's paid in by the people still working immediately comes out. Now, a Ponzi scheme would be there's really no money invested. Okay, so the way a Ponzi scheme works would be investor number one invests $1 million and you think that it's invested in a mutual fund, for example, and it's not, right? Just like the people running this fund are just taking the money. The next person comes in and invests $2 million. And then when the first investor wants to pull their money out, their supposed earnings come out of that $2 million that the second investor put in, but there's never really any underlying investments. Like it eventually collapses when there aren't enough new investors to pay the returns. That's a Ponzi scheme. It's a very defined type of scam. Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. So that's what Elon is kind of getting at here. Current workers pay into it, and that funds benefits for current retirees. It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's not.
It might not be a direct Ponzi scheme, but like this is a semantics thing. Like, what are we doing? Why are we arguing about this? Social Security is a scam because, like David Pakman just said, it's people who are currently working, who are paying Social Security, who are funding people who are currently retired, collecting Social Security. Social Security for the people who are paying right now might not be around whenever these people who are paying it are retired to collect it from the other people who they're banking on still paying Social Security. You know, so it's not like these people who are currently paying Social Security are just putting their money away in a bank account that they're never going to touch until they're retired, which would be a lot smarter than paying Social Security. They're not doing that. They're paying it to people who are currently retired. A lot of people probably don't know that they're paying it to people who are currently retired. So not only are we banking on Social Security still being around when we retire, but we're also banking on people wanting and still paying Social Security while they're still working while we are retired. It's so complicated. It's so like roundabout versus just putting your money away. You know, if you want to have a retirement fund, just put your money away. Don't rely on somebody else, even if it's going to make the money grow a little bit. Like put it in a CV or something, you know, just go make some investments, go put it in the S&P, you know, just go put it in some ETF or something and it'll probably grow. I wouldn't rely on Social Security. So I don't mind Elon Musk calling that out at all. I don't understand what David Pakman's issue with Elon Musk calling out Social Security is, but maybe we'll find out here in a second.
Designed to generate profits. It's just a system based on the full faith and credit of the US government. The US government has the authority to tax. It has the authority to borrow. It's not a secret that it's pay as you go. Social Security is designed to be self-sustaining over time. Now, the issue we are coming up against is that as more people retire, if you have more retirees relative to workers, you can have an insolvent or partially insolvent Social Security trust fund. Right now, if nothing is done, right? This is if you do nothing, the trust fund would be depleted in the mid-2030s. That's if you make no changes. But it would still be able to meet 75 to 80% of scheduled benefits. So it would be depleted in terms of accumulated money, but everybody would still be able to get 80% of their promised benefits. It's not a collapse, it's just a shortfall. Now, with some small adjustments, we've talked about a slight raise to the cap. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You solve the problem. That's not a Ponzi scheme. It's the system as designed with a growing imbalance of workers to retirees, which needs to be addressed. Not the Ponzi scheme that Elon makes it out to be. Now,
But what Elon and Joe Rogan are talking about here, and I don't understand why these people like David Pakman have an issue, is that there is a lot of waste and a lot of just weird, borderline nefarious things happening within the U.S. government. And that's what these people, they keep making this argument whenever Elon Musk is coming out. And like I said earlier on, or I might have said this in another video that I made today, I am not the biggest fan of Elon Musk. But I do like, and I find the fact that his acronym for his government, whatever the hell it is, the program being Doge, is the most cringe thing ever. And people get so mad when I say that, but the fact that it's called Doge is just, it's childish. Like, what are we doing? But I do like what it represents. I do like the fact that they're auditing the government, making sure that there's the least amount of waste and stealing from the American people as possible. And the argument these people like David Pakman keep making is that, well, people already knew what Social Security was, right? It's not a secret. It's not a secret that it's a borderline Ponzi scheme. It's not a secret, but it's not super well known. You know, it's the same thing with all these things that Doge is uncovering in terms of, you know, the Pentagon waste and things like that. People keep saying, like David Pakman, Sam Cedar keeps saying, well, it's not a secret. You can go find this information. I don't know how the hell to find that information. I'm not some hacker that can hack into the Pentagon's back end and see where the Pentagon is spending money. I don't know how the hell to find that. And if I'm watching, you know, I'm very well connected within the space. Obviously, I post videos on it every single day. If I have no idea how to find that stuff, do you think the average Joe knows how to go find that stuff? No. And also, people don't have time. They're not thinking about that on a daily basis. People are thinking about providing food and shelter for their families, you know, working. So if these people are going to get money mysteriously disappearing out of their paychecks without any sort of say on if it comes out or not, and then when it does come out without your say, you don't have any say on where it goes, we should at least know where the government is forcing this money out of our bank account and into their hands and what they're doing with it. And at the very least, if that's all we get from Doge, as cringe as it is, I still think that's a net positive for the American people, regardless of if you're left wing or right wing. I don't think it matters. If they don't shut down anything and they don't actually save us any money, at least we can find out where the stuff is going. Because a lot of this stuff, I had no idea, right? And a lot of, you know, you can say all you want. I know that's the argument that David Pakman would make. Well, it's all publicly available for you to see. Once again, I have no idea how the hell to find any of that stuff. So I don't know why you're acting like the average Joe would know.
Another moment during this interview, they spoke to Grok. Grok is the Twitter AI chatbot sort of version of ChatGPT. Very funny stuff.
Lever? No, she's just a pain in my ass.
Yes.
Are you a fucking conspiracy theorist?
Yes. Yes.
What are you doing?
Isn't that funny? It's really, really funny stuff. And finally, Elon Musk says some of the stuff he's up to, some of the stuff he's talking about, it could get him assassinated.
And what other methods?
I mean, this is really going to get me assassinated. It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff, to say the least. I mean, I was supposed to go back to DC. How am I going to survive? This fucker's going to kill me for sure. In fact, I do think like it's like I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff because it's going to get me killed.
Right. If he this is why he won't be able to root out corruption, because he's ready to do it. He's ready to do it, but they'll kill him.
I mean, is he wrong? I mean, is he wrong at all? Please tell me if he's wrong. I mean, they tried to do it to they tried to take Donald Trump out multiple times. We saw it on live TV. It's not like, I mean, I guess they are saying that he staged it or whatever, but I don't think he staged it, man. There's real people who died, you know, that were there. Sad as it is, but you know, it has to be brought up to prove to the people that wasn't faked. Why would they not try with Elon? You know, if he's trying to go after them, that doesn't seem crazy to me at all. And the fact that it doesn't seem crazy at all is really sad. That's where, you know, our country and everything has come to, where we know that if you dig into certain things, if you try and go after certain corruption, the natural progression of that is you probably getting taken out, or at least some attempts on your life, right? And, you know, it was the attempts on Donald Trump's life, multiple of them. I'm sure there was multiple other ones that we've never heard about, that they never made public, that they probably, you know, rooted out before they ever took place. And, you know, they tried to throw him in jail multiple times for a bunch of BS. Like, they went after him hard. And Elon Musk is basically Donald Trump's right-hand man, so I don't see why David Pakman would try to make it seem like that's a ridiculous statement. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Joe Rogan and Elon Musk just tearing the left to shreds here, and then, you know, David Pakman, of course, losing his mind because of it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole David Pakman versus Joe Rogan and Elon Musk situation.